15 Black R&B legends with shocking deathbed confessions. What if the legends you've adored your entire life hid secrets that could shake the very foundation of their fame? From whispered threats to shocking confessions, 15 Black R&B icons revealed truths that the world wasn't ready to hear. Tonight, we're diving deep into their final moments, uncovering stories of betrayal, fear, and forbidden love. Things that history books never dared to tell. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because once you hear these deathbed confessions, you'll never hear their music the same way again. Are you ready to uncover the untold? Ray Charles. Ray Charles, a visionary who redefined the boundaries of music, was much more than a blind pianist and singer. He was a man of contradictions and profound humanity. Though the public admired his fusion of gospel, jazz, and blues into an unforgettable sound, his private life was a complex symphony of imperfection and passion. On his deathbed in 2004, Charles revealed the truth about his personal relationships. He fathered 12 children with 9 different women. This confession astonished fans who had only glimpsed a polished public persona, showing that the man who could capture universal emotion in a melody also wrestled with profound human desires and responsibilities. Despite the apparent chaos of his family life, Charles demonstrated careful foresight and responsibility, establishing a trust fund to provide for all his children, including those who had rarely appeared in public. He called them together for a final farewell, ensuring that his final moments addressed the reality of his life rather than maintaining an illusion of perfection. In doing so, he confronted his mortality with courage and honesty, leaving a legacy that intertwined both musical genius and moral reflection. Charles's life story illuminates the tension between creative brilliance and human vulnerability. While his compositions such as Georgia on My Mind and Hit the Road Jack showcased his technical skill and emotional depth, his deathbed revelation reminded the world that fame does not insulate anyone from the complexities of intimate relationships and parental duties. Fans and contemporaries alike were left to reconcile the myth of the flawless performer with the reality of a man who experienced mistakes, love, and redemption in equal measure. Ray Charles's final disclosure humanized an icon, transforming him from merely a musical legend into a symbol of honesty, accountability, and the intricate weave of life's joys and struggles. Curtis Mayfield. Curtis Mayfield, a pioneering voice of socially conscious soul, left an indelible mark on music and culture. Known for blending funk, soul, and political commentary, Mayfield's compositions often addressed inequality, injustice, and the struggles of everyday life. While the public celebrated his artistic vision and uplifting messages, his private reflections revealed a profound awareness of the challenges and vulnerabilities faced by his peers. After a tragic stage accident in 1990 left him paralyzed, Mayfield's perspective deepened, offering insights into the hidden costs of fame, ambition, and the pressures of the music industry. During his later years, Mayfield openly reflected on the destructive impact of substance abuse that pervaded his generation. He recognized that while artists had the talent and opportunity to create a golden era, many allowed drugs and lifestyle excesses to erode friendships, creativity, and even personal health. This confession was not merely personal regret, it was an acknowledgement of a shared downfall among his contemporaries, a haunting reminder of how brilliance can be undermined by human frailty. Despite immense physical limitations, Mayfield remained a source of inspiration, composing music and mentoring younger musicians, showing resilience and an unwavering commitment to the craft. His deathbed words conveyed a sense of accountability and caution, urging artists and listeners alike to recognize the fragile balance between creative brilliance and personal responsibility. Mayfield's honesty underscored the importance of community and foresight in navigating an industry often indifferent to individual well-being. Curtis Mayfield's legacy is a testament to courage, vision, and self-awareness. His melodies continue to resonate as anthems of hope, empowerment, and change. Yet his final reflections reveal the complexities behind the fame, reminding us that even legends are vulnerable to the same challenges they often write about. In acknowledging both triumphs and regrets, Mayfield became not only a musical icon, but also a moral compass, leaving behind lessons that transcend notes, lyrics, and performances. Phyllis Hyman, celebrated as one of R&B's most commanding divas, carried a legacy both luminous and haunting. Revered for her commanding vocal presence and emotive performances, Hyman's music often conveyed a depth of feeling that touched audiences worldwide. Yet behind the accolades and applause lay a life marked by struggle and exploitation. In her final note, discovered posthumously, she confided that the music industry had used and abused her, transforming her artistry into a vehicle for profit rather than honoring her creative integrity. Hyman's revelations shed light on the unspoken pressures many artists endure. From restrictive contracts to the relentless demands of public expectation, her words revealed the relentless toll of fame on mental, emotional, and physical well-being. She often shared with friends the despair she felt as her autonomy eroded, and the final note crystallized the sense of resignation she experienced. One where the stage that once symbolized triumph became a cage, and her voice, a commodity in a machine that valued profit above humanity. Despite these hardships, Hyman's brilliance never dimmed. She maintained an unparalleled dedication to her craft, inspiring countless musicians who followed. Her final confessions offer a rare glimpse into the human side of legendary talent, demonstrating the sacrifices, burdens, and resilience required to endure in an industry that rarely acknowledges them. Hyman's courage in admitting her pain ensured that her story transcended mere celebrity, transforming her into a symbol of honesty, perseverance, and the complexities of creative life. In remembering Phyllis Hyman, we celebrate more than her musical achievements. We honor the truth she bravely revealed, that behind every powerful performance lies a person navigating struggles unseen by the audience. Her legacy is a testament to the enduring spirit of artists who, despite exploitation and obstacles, leave behind music and stories that challenge, enlighten, and resonate long after the final note has been sung. James Brown, the godfather of soul, was more than a musical icon. He was a force of nature whose performances electrified audiences around the globe. Yet behind the legendary stage presence lay a man deeply aware of the dangers and pressures surrounding him. On his deathbed, Brown confided a chilling fear. He suspected someone had tried to poison him. This revelation stunned those closest to him, highlighting that even a figure as powerful and influential as James Brown could feel vulnerable and threatened in the world he had dominated. Throughout his life, Brown built an empire, contracts, copyrights, performance fees, and assets that amassed immense wealth. But fame and fortune did not shield him from envy, betrayal, or hidden conflicts. The music industry, while celebrating his genius publicly, concealed a darker undercurrent where power, money, and control often dictated the fates of artists. Brown's suspicions hinted at the price of success, the invisible threats lurking behind the spotlight, and the constant tension between artistic freedom and external pressures. Family and friends recall a man who spoke rarely without purpose, making his final words even more haunting. His insistence that no one should touch him in his last days left a lingering unease, suggesting that the dangers he feared were not imaginary but deeply felt. These confessions humanized a figure often elevated to mythic status, revealing the fragility that fame cannot mask. James Brown's story serves as a sobering reminder that the journey to greatness often comes with hidden struggles. Beyond the glittering performances and timeless hits, there was a man wrestling with fear, control, and suspicion. His legacy is a testament not only to his unparalleled contributions to music, but also to the courage of a man who, even in his final moments, revealed a side of himself rarely seen: vulnerable, wary, and intensely human. Rick James. Rick James, the flamboyant king of funk, lived a life of extreme highs and turbulent lows. Known for his electrifying stage presence and defiant persona, he captivated audiences with his wild energy and fearless attitude. Yet beneath the party-loving exterior, James confessed a profound sense of entrapment and regret in his final years. Despite projecting freedom and rebellion through his music and lifestyle, he admitted privately that these very indulgences had become a cage, limiting his peace of mind and distorting his true self. Throughout his career, Rick James cultivated an image of a relentless rebel, someone untethered by rules or expectations. The world saw wild parties, dazzling performances, and fearless confrontation of societal norms. But behind the scenes, James battled the consequences of excess: sleepless nights, fleeting relationships, and mounting health issues. His final reflections revealed that the freedom he celebrated was in fact an illusion, a mirage that ensnared him in habits and choices he could not fully control. Friends recall that James often described himself as a lost man in a maze of mirrors, recognizing that each reflection of fame, indulgence, or rivalry moved him further from his authentic self. The man who once claimed to live without limits ended his days contemplating the cost of rebellion and excess. These deathbed confessions did not diminish his genius, but instead humanized him, exposing the vulnerabilities that fame and fortune could not erase. Rick James's story is a reminder of the fine line between liberation and self-destruction. While his music continues to influence generations and energize listeners, his final words serve as a poignant reflection on the complexities of fame, identity, and personal accountability. Beneath the flamboyant persona in legendary funk grooves was a man who recognized too late the traps of his own making, leaving behind a legacy both electrifying and cautionary. Jackie Wilson. Jackie Wilson, known as Mr. Excitement, was a trailblazer whose dynamic voice and mesmerizing performances left audiences spellbound. Celebrated for his ability to ignite any stage, Wilson embodied the spirit of R&B with passion, charisma, and relentless energy. Yet behind the exhilarating shows and electrifying moves lay a life burdened with pressure, exploitation, and unspoken fears. In his final years, fragments of his thoughts revealed a chilling confession. He felt controlled by unseen forces, bound by contracts, and manipulated by figures connected to the underworld of the music industry. During the 1960s and 70s, the mafia exerted a subtle but powerful influence over entertainment, often dictating terms for performances, venues, and financial arrangements. Wilson, at the peak of his success, was forced into contracts that limited his autonomy, and his family later recounted that he spoke repeatedly of these unfair dealings. The collapse he suffered on stage in 1975 while performing Lonely Teardrops became a symbol of both his brilliance and vulnerability, a moment that left him in a coma for years and stripped him of the ability to express himself fully. Jackie Wilson's deathbed confessions, recounted by his loved ones, painted a portrait of a man both celebrated and trapped. His life reflected the harsh realities faced by many Black artists of the era: extraordinary talent paired with exploitation, power struggles, and the constant threat of forces beyond their control. Wilson's story reminds us that behind the glamour and fame, even the most dazzling performers could be subject to manipulation and danger. Ultimately, Jackie Wilson's legacy endures not only through his music, but also through the haunting awareness of the pressures and injustices he faced. His deathbed revelations transformed his narrative from mere entertainment history into a cautionary tale about the hidden costs of fame and the resilience required to shine amidst adversity. The stage may have celebrated his genius, but behind the curtain, Wilson's life bore witness to the shadowy forces that often shape the fate of R&B legends. Al Green. Al Green, often hailed as the soul of soul, was a master of passion and melody, captivating listeners with his velvet voice and heartfelt performances. Behind the romantic ballads and chart-topping hits, however, lay a man grappling with a complex personal life. In private moments, Al confided to close friends that he carried the weight of secret relationships and children born outside of his acknowledged family, a burden he described as inescapable and lifelong. Though celebrated for his smooth vocals and magnetic stage presence, Green's life was often a balancing act between public adoration and private responsibility. The songs that made the world swoon, tender expressions of love, devotion, and yearning, belied the reality of complicated romantic entanglements, emotional turbulence, and hidden consequences. In his final conversations, he admitted that love for him was never simple. It carried secrecy, guilt, and the weight of promises only partially fulfilled. Al Green's deathbed reflections reveal the humanity behind the legend. Even as he achieved musical immortality, he struggled with remorse for the gaps between his public image and private life. He recognized that the very traits that made him a beloved performer, his generosity of spirit, his willingness to love deeply, also left him vulnerable to mistakes, misunderstandings, and heartbreak. Friends recount that he often smiled knowingly when praised as the ultimate romantic, a smile that masked both pride and the hidden burdens he carried. Ultimately, Al Green's legacy transcends the melodies that made him famous. His candid admission of personal struggles provides a sobering reminder that behind the genius, there are human vulnerabilities. Music elevated him to legendary status, but his confessions illustrate that fame does not exempt anyone from the consequences of their choices. Al Green's life teaches us that even the most cherished voices contain untold stories, and that honesty, courage, and reflection are as much a part of artistry as talent itself. Sam Cooke. Sam Cooke, often celebrated as the King of Soul, was a trailblazer whose voice combined smooth elegance with an emotional intensity that captivated audiences worldwide. Behind the effortless charm and iconic hits, however, Cooke faced a life shadowed by pressures from both the music industry and social expectations. On his deathbed and in private reflections, he expressed an acute awareness of forces conspiring against him, whispering to friends that, "They're after me." These words were not mere paranoia. They reflected the reality of a Black artist navigating a world where ambition, independence, and control over one's music could make powerful enemies. Cooke's courage to found his own publishing company and assert control over his copyrights was groundbreaking in the 1960s, a period when Black artists were often exploited by record labels. His insistence on creative and financial autonomy challenged an entrenched system, and it's widely believed that this independence made him a target. In diaries and private notes, Sam sketched out anxieties about unseen threats and the fragility of success. Friends recall that just weeks before his untimely death, he remained full of energy and optimism, planning the next stages of his career, yet always with an undercurrent of fear, as if he sensed the storm to come. Sam Cooke's death in 1964 remains steeped in controversy and mystery, fueling decades of speculation. His final confessions reveal the tension between the public figure, a singer of love, hope, and justice, and the private man aware of dangers lurking in the shadows. The intensity of his warnings underscores the vulnerability behind brilliance. Even a figure as monumental as Cooke could not escape the perils of ambition, fame, and systemic oppression. His legacy is thus twofold: a musical genius who transformed soul music, and a man whose last words continue to haunt, reminding us that extraordinary talent often carries extraordinary risks. Barry White, famously known as the King of Love, captivated the world with his deep, velvety voice and romantic ballads. Yet behind the seductive melodies and smooth charm, White carried burdens that were deeply personal and often hidden from public view. In his final reflections, he confessed that he had left too many children behind, acknowledging the unintended consequences of a life devoted as much to pleasure as to music. These admissions reveal a man who was intensely aware of the personal sacrifices his lifestyle had demanded. Throughout his career, White was celebrated for songs that spoke of love, intimacy, and passion. However, the man behind the microphone was wrestling with responsibilities he could not fully meet. Friends recount that he often stayed awake at night, contemplating his choices and the gaps left in his family life. Letters discovered after his death, addressed to children who may never have received them, laid bare his fear of disapproval and the regret of absence. In these private moments, Barry White was not the confident, commanding voice adored worldwide, but a man grappling with guilt, longing, and an acute sense of vulnerability. The contrast between public persona and private reality underscores a universal truth. Fame and talent do not exempt one from human flaws. Barry White's final confessions illustrate a life of duality, an artist celebrated for romance, yet a father haunted by what he could not repair. They also offer a rare glimpse into the pressures and consequences that come with extraordinary success, reminding audiences that even the most charismatic icons bear personal regrets. In the end, his music continues to evoke passion, but his confessions allow listeners to see the man beyond the legend, a deeply human figure navigating love, responsibility, and the heavy weight of choices made in pursuit of a remarkable career. Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye, a legendary voice in soul and R&B, is remembered not only for his revolutionary music, but also for the personal pain that shadowed his life. Behind the smooth vocals and timeless hits lay a deeply troubled family dynamic. On his deathbed, Marvin Gaye's father, Marvin Gaye Sr., confessed a bitter truth. "I never liked Marvin. I always hated him." These chilling words revealed a harrowing conflict within a household that should have been a sanctuary. Marvin's father, a minister, became the source of a lifelong struggle, a paradox that contrasted sharply with the soulful messages of love, hope, and social justice that Marvin conveyed through his music. Marvin Gaye's career was marked by triumphs, but also by the weight of expectations, both from the world and from home. The jealousy and resentment harbored by his father created a personal storm that no fame or fortune could calm. Friends and family recall Marvin often referred to his father as an ever-present shadow, a haunting figure that lingered over his decisions, emotions, and self-worth. This inner turmoil shaped much of his artistry, infusing songs like "What's Going On" and "Inner City Blues" with layers of sincerity, vulnerability, and urgency. The tragedy of Marvin's death in 1984, shot by his own father, became a symbol of an unhealed wound, one that resonated deeply within the music community and beyond. His life story illuminates a haunting duality, a man who used his extraordinary talent to bring joy, awareness, and connection, while simultaneously enduring a profound personal pain few could understand. Marvin Gaye's deathbed confessions and the circumstances surrounding his life remind us that genius often walks hand in hand with suffering. They compel reflection on the human cost behind artistic brilliance and highlight that even the most iconic figures may carry private battles invisible to their adoring audiences. Donny Hathaway. Donny Hathaway, hailed as one of soul music's most gifted voices, left an indelible mark on R&B with his emotive performances and masterful musicality. Yet behind the transcendent harmonies and stage brilliance lay a man wrestling with profound personal and professional pressures. In his final days, Donny confided in close friends a haunting fear. "They want to finish me off." While officially his death was ruled an accident, the secrecy surrounding his fall from the 15th floor window of the Essex House Hotel continues to fuel speculation. These words, spoken during a time of intense vulnerability, reveal the depth of anxiety and mistrust Hathaway endured in the entertainment industry. Donny's career was filled with artistic triumphs, but the music industry's demands and manipulations weighed heavily on him. Friends recall that he often spoke of the unseen forces within the system, whispering of pressures and threats that sought to limit his independence. For a man who challenged musical norms and brought sophistication to R&B through albums like Everything is Everything and collaborations with Roberta Flack, this tension was a constant shadow. His genius allowed him to break barriers, but it also made him a target in a highly competitive and sometimes ruthless industry. Beyond the public persona, Hathaway grappled with mental health challenges, making him acutely sensitive to the dynamics around him. The combination of personal demons and external pressures contributed to a sense of isolation and vulnerability that permeated his final days. The unfinished musical projects he left behind, filled with repetitive themes of release and longing, reflect a mind striving for expression amid turmoil. Donny Hathaway's death, while tragic, stands as a stark reminder of the fragility of human life and the hidden burdens even the most extraordinary talents may carry. His final confessions offer a rare and sobering insight into the darker realities behind the music that continues to inspire millions. Etta James, the powerhouse behind timeless R&B and blues classics, captivated the world with her soul-stirring voice and commanding stage presence. Yet beneath the glittering fame and awards lay a life marked by intense personal struggles. In the years leading up to her death in 2012, James openly confessed to her lifelong battle with addiction and the secret affairs that had shaped her complex relationships. Far from the polished diva image adored by fans, she revealed an existence defined by vulnerability and human imperfection. Etta's career was both revolutionary and punishing. She shattered barriers for Black female singers, proving that women could hold the stage as equals to any male counterpart. Behind that groundbreaking success, however, was a constant fight with substances that offered temporary escape from the pressures of fame and the loneliness that often accompanied her extraordinary talent. Friends and collaborators noted that her candid discussions about addiction and hidden relationships were not cries for sympathy, but expressions of truth she had long concealed. Her confessions added a raw dimension to her artistry, showing that the deeply emotional performances for which she was celebrated were shaped not only by technical skill, but also by the pain, longing, and resilience of a life lived intensely. James admitted that her secret romances with fellow artists and industry figures provided solace, yet often complicated her personal life, highlighting the paradox of a woman who had everything the world admired, yet carried private turmoil. Etta James's final words painted a portrait of a multifaceted woman, fearless yet fragile, strong yet vulnerable, and eternally human. Her courage to confront and admit these truths provided a deeper understanding of her music and her legacy. While the spotlight immortalized her voice, her confessions immortalized her humanity, reminding the world that behind every legend lies a story of struggle, resilience, and unvarnished truth. Etta James remains an emblem of raw talent, artistic brilliance, and the relentless pursuit of authenticity. Whitney Houston, the voice that defined a generation, possessed a rare combination of power, emotion, and precision. Her songs transcended charts, becoming anthems of love, heartbreak, and hope. Yet behind the dazzling stage lights and global acclaim, Whitney's personal life revealed a world of struggle, secrets, and emotional captivity. In her final years, she confided that she could never fully escape the controlling influence of Bobby Brown and the destructive pull of substance abuse. These candid confessions exposed the inner turmoil of a woman whose public image was perfection, but whose private reality was far more complex. Houston's rise to fame was meteoric, Yet the pressures of stardom took a toll that the public rarely saw. She described her love as a double-edged sword, passionate yet binding, a force that both uplifted and confined her. Friends reported that she often felt powerless to make independent decisions about her career or personal life, describing herself as a beautiful bird trapped in a glass cage. Her diary pages revealed her sense of isolation, the feeling that the applause and adoration could not fill the void left by entanglements she could not control. Her deathbed confessions added depth to her legacy, showing a woman whose talent was matched by vulnerability and humanity. Whitney's brilliance on stage was inseparable from the struggles she endured offstage, a poignant reminder that fame and fortune often coexist with hidden battles. Her transparency about love, addiction, and personal limitation offered fans a new understanding of the real woman behind the legend. Ultimately, Whitney Houston's story is one of extraordinary achievement intertwined with profound personal challenges. Her voice will forever resonate, not only as a testament to her unmatched talent, but as an echo of her resilience, courage, and honest acknowledgement of life's imperfections. Through her music and her confessions, she remains an indelible figure whose human complexity adds a haunting, unforgettable layer to the legacy of one of the world's greatest vocalists. Teddy Pendergrass, whose velvety voice captivated millions, was more than an R&B icon. He was a testament to perseverance and the power of resilience. At the height of his fame, he dominated the charts and the hearts of fans with a string of platinum albums, becoming the first solo R&B artist to achieve 5 consecutive platinum records. Yet in 1982, a life-altering accident transformed him overnight. A car crash left him paralyzed from the waist down, forever changing the trajectory of his life and career. While the public viewed it as a tragic twist of fate, Teddy confided to friends that it was far from an accident. He believed there were forces that didn't want him to continue his dominance in the music industry. This revelation shed light on the precariousness of fame, especially for a Black artist navigating an industry rife with control, power struggles, and hidden agendas. Teddy's accident occurred in the presence of Tenica Watson, a little-known singer, which intensified media speculation and overshadowed his artistic accomplishments. Friends noted that he often spoke of unseen pressures, suggesting that certain parties resented his independence and outspoken criticism of restrictive contracts. Even in the face of immense personal challenges, Teddy returned to the stage with unmatched determination, his voice carrying both beauty and the weight of his experiences. Teddy's final reflections painted a picture of both triumph and bitterness. He acknowledged that the accident, while physically devastating, revealed the unseen battles within the music industry, a world where talent often clashes with exploitation and envy. His confession, "It wasn't an accident," became a haunting reminder of the hidden struggles that shadowed his extraordinary career. Beyond the wheelchair and headlines, Teddy Pendergrass embodied courage, an unwavering spirit, and the pursuit of artistic authenticity despite overwhelming adversity. His story remains a poignant chapter in R&B history, highlighting not just the magic of his music, but the resilience of a man who refused to be defined by tragedy alone. Behind the glittering lights and iconic hits, Black R&B legends carried secrets that the world could never imagine. From haunting deathbed confessions to struggles with love, power, and betrayal, their lives reveal that fame often comes at a terrifying price. Teddy Pendergrass whispered that his accident wasn't an accident. Michael Jackson feared for his life, and Etta James battled addiction while captivating the world. These confessions force us to question, how much of the truth do we really see when we idolize greatness? Are the legends we celebrate truly free, or are they prisoners of the world they conquered?